All right. Well, tried to have something nice for you, but I'm old. Listen, I welcome. It's my guess. This is the pre-draft preseason show. It's just me. Rob's on vacation, living the life. I think I got it fixed. If you were here when I was doing the draft picks about a month ago, the random order, I clicked on the wrong thing, so I didn't know who was saying what. But I believe I have it fixed. But I was gonna have um, something up on the screen. Try and be a little more professional, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing, and it wasn't cooperating. So I'm here, and I got the comments on. So join me. I'm gonna wait for you. I'm here for your questions. A lot of things people sort of ask me to rank at least one person in the group. Um, that's not my style. I mean, because you're going to have the same regurgitated information. My top 30 or 15 per position is going to be very similar to everybody else's, and that's not why you come to Answers by Guess. Also, I got a fan on behind me. If you can't really hear me, let me know. I'll shut it off. I'm getting fat, and I didn't want to sweat, so I put it on. Um, so hopefully, it's not annoying. I got a new mic. Should be letting you hear me clear and not the fan. But please let me know. I got no comments. What the deal? But anyways, so it's not really my style to do that type of thing. If you've been watching Answers by Guess for the past 6 seasons, uh, you know that we're the inside scoop from outside the box. Go off of gut feeling because we always say trust your gut, and we use what we see and what we know to sort of gauge how we think things are going to occur. It's more of a week to week type show. But I do have a few dark horses, and that's why we did the five guys for your eyes. What's up, Marty? Good to hear that it's loud and clear. I'm a poet and I know it. Um, and we're going to keep doing the five guys for your eyes each and every week. So it'll be five guys for the week to keep your eye on. More than likely should be guys that might be on your bench, the waiver wire, because that's just how we roll. Everybody else, you're already keeping your eyes on. We'll see how it goes. The ABG 3P will be back. The same setup that we did. I know Rob and I are planning on going live Wednesday before opening night. So that'll be the next time that we're live. Um, and then either Saturday night or Sunday morning. So, like I said, somebody was asking me about like a top 15 or a top 30. I mean, it's going to be regurgitated information, and more so, it sort of depends on where you're drafted. I mean, who cares? If I'm putting uh, Austin Eckler at number one, which I'm not. People have asked about Austin Eckler. I got a not a bad feeling, but a different feeling than a lot of people do about him this year. Kellen Moore, new offensive coordinator, likes to push the ball downfield, likes to use two running backs. I mean, that's what he did in Dallas, and that sort of um, goes in line with why I can't really even do that. And why does it even matter if I have Eckler at 1, 4, or 7? If you're picking 8, it doesn't matter. I mean, it does because you got Chase and the other guys up there. Yeah, Judy with a hammy injury. I know. That's. I have him in one dynasty league. I had a chance to trade him, and I almost. And this was like 2 months ago. Um, and I declined. And it was a pretty good offer. I thought about it, but I had a good feeling about Judy this year. Russell Wilson was one of my 5 guys for your eyes when we talked about the AFC West. I think it's a nice bounce back situation. Their offensive game plan in general, the head coach was terrible last year. Now they got the best in the business. I wish, and I almost put a trade offer to the guy that wanted Judy. I almost did it yesterday, and now I wish I would have. I liked Sutton. There was talks of Sutton maybe being traded, but here's the thing, and I'm glad you brought this up, and I'm hoping we got 5 people in here. I would like to have 15, but the 5 that are here, I love you. Ask some questions. The thing is, I'm glad you asked this because, yeah, Sutton is going to keep the same role, but there's somebody that as soon as Hamler went down, and as soon as Patrick or Hamler got cut and Patrick went down, it doesn't matter. They're the same exact guy, made of glass, hurt every single year. Marvin Mims, the rookie, jumped right into that number 3. So if you're drafting this weekend and people don't know who he is, Marvin Mims, I believe Jr., is somebody that you should be looking to grab in the last couple rounds because now he's their second wide receiver, at least for a few weeks, with Judy not being there. And dude was already looking good beforehand, before the other 2 guys went down, before Judy went down. So Marvin Mims is definitely a guy. And the Denver TE, we know how much we love Dulcich. We talked him up before he became a thing last year. But they got Adam Troutman. And Adam Troutman was drafted by Sean Payton. And Sean Payton's the head coach, and he likes Adam Troutman. They're going to be running a 12 set, 2 tight ends now, especially with Judy out. Troutman is the dark horse here. I would not overpay for Dulcich. And I've been feeling this way for quite a while. I've been waiting, if you've been watching the show, again, for 6 seasons. Adam Troutman was somebody I was just waiting to pop in New Orleans, and he just never did. But now he's back with Sean Payton, and he's pretty much their tight end 1, if not only their 1A. And Javonte, you know how much I love Javonte. If people have sort of asked kind of guys, I mean, somebody sniped him from me in the ABG draft. I wish I was ready to grab him. Person right before me, I believe, sniped him. Pissed me off. But I want Javonte. I want every little bit of Javonte. He looks good. There's a couple guys like that this year. Like Justin Herbert is somebody who I really haven't liked ever. But I like him this year because Kellen Moore, like I talked about with Eckler, a lot of these passes in the past that used to be dump offs to Eckler are not going to be anymore. They're going to be pushed downfield. They got Quentin Johnson in there, who I believe either got hurt or he hasn't been playing well. Something popped up yesterday. But they got Josh Palmer. They got the 2 old glass men, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, and Gerald Everett, who had a great end of the season last year. They're going to be pushing the ball downfield quite often. And it's not that I dislike Eckler. I think he's going to have a fine season, but he has been looking, if you've been paying attention at all, for at least the past 3 seasons, for somebody to step up and play running back and let him take a little bit off his plate. And Kellen Moore likes to use 2 running backs. He did it in Dallas as much as he possibly could. It's going to happen. He's going to see a downtick this year. Will he still be good? Yeah. Will he still be top 5? Probably. But if Isaiah Spiller steps up from his rookie season last year, Rob was really high on him in the preseason last year. It never really panned out. I like him quite a bit this year to steal some thunder. That coupled with Kellen Moore putting the ball downfield. So I like it. So as far as your, I don't know how we started off talking about Chargers, but I like everything you mentioned, Marty. I'm going to try not to put comments on the screen, but because we're doing the Spotify thing and nobody can see them anyways, but I'll do it every once in a while. Terrence asks, A Flowers, your thoughts? Terrence Zay Flowers was one of my 5 guys for your eyes. I actually had, I believe, number 4 that week that we talked about, the AFC North, was Baltimore wide receivers, just because they had so many. Somebody's going to have to step up from the entire group, because we know something's going to happen to Odell. We know something's going to happen to Bateman. So it's going to be one of these extra guys. And then number 3, I said Zay Flowers. Love Zay Flowers. Problem, Terrence, with Zay Flowers right now is he is one of the rookie wide receiver names that people are actually aware of. And when I say people, I'm talking about the casual people. All right, we all go into drafts, whether it's a home league or if it's some type of money league online. Everyone's got the people who think they're the best, the people that are just in it, sort of having fun, and then the rest of us sort of in the middle. And the ones that are having fun, if they know about these guys, it gets them tougher to get. Zay Flowers is a name. People well aware about him. So it's just going to be a little tough. Darko says Pittman's limping. I mean, what else is new? Josh Downs. Yeah, well, they're going to need somebody else. It's Pittman, Alec Pierce. I really like Jelani Woods. I believe he was a 5 guy for your eye when we did the AFC South. So yeah, Josh Downs definitely, and that's sort of the thing. You could target Zay Flowers, Terrence, but people are aware of him, so you're going to have to spend up a little, or you can wait a little while. Talk about Marvin Mims, like I did, if you want to dabble in that rookie wide receiver, or Josh Downs, like Dark was talking about. Tim says Bijan a top 10 running back this year. What running back fields are most intriguing? Backfields. The rookie running back thing. I mean, we fell for this before, right? The CEH. The first round rookie running back, we fell for it. Bijan is otherworldly. CEH never really was. We put Bijan more in like a Saquon or a Jonathan Taylor type of thing. I think Saquon might have been a first round draft pick his rookie year. I don't think Jonathan Taylor was. I believe he was maybe second round, if I'm not mistaken, early second, which is crazy. Top 10, it's tough. He's going to lose a lot to Algier, and that's what I've pretty much thought all along. And there's no reason not to think that he would, because Atlanta's come out and said so since they drafted him, that Algier is still going to have tons of playing time. You watch the preseason games, you can't put too much stock in them. You can't overreact, but you also can't underreact. And you do see Algier getting the goal line work, and that's pretty much his wheelhouse. I mean, you just look at him, and he's just somebody. I'm telling you which ones are the most intriguing for me right now. And I said this weeks ago. I said it actually with Dalvin Cook wasn't on the team. And it was Miami. And A-Chain was a dude that I had in the 5 guys for your eyes segment. Now he's got the shoulder injury. The other 2 are made of glass. I think they're going to get Jonathan Taylor. I really do. And I also have a feeling Miami might go after Trey Lance and get him as their backup, just in case something happens to Tua. I know he's looked terrible, but I just have a feeling like he might go there. If he doesn't go there, maybe like Minnesota or something. But the Miami backfield is the most intriguing to me, because if they get Jonathan Taylor, there's a lot of wasted draft picks, I think, with Jeff Wilson and Mostert. And I think it'll be JT and A-Chain, because Mostert and Jeff Wilson just can't stay healthy. Yeah, Marty agreed with me. I just think he will be. I have never been a fan of Justin Herbert. We talk about the card game, sports cards, and we talk about fantasy football. I mean, the show is fantasy football, but a lot of times we talk about sports cards because it's something Rob and I are both into. And Justin Herbert, it's just everybody loves him. And I have yet to really see any reason why. But I think this year, if If I were a betting man, I say this quite often. If I were a betting man, I would throw a little money out there, small bet, $10, because you probably can win 150. Just it's a long shot. I don't know the odds. Justin Herbert MVP. Just think he's going to be throwing the ball more than ever downfield. He's got ridiculous weapons. I just have a feeling. We'll see. I have a feeling. I had a chance to take him. I took Fields instead in the ABG league. Dak could come back to haunt me, but we shall see. So, yeah, Keenan Allen's got to stay healthy. Draft the young, and don't forget Gibbs. Nobody's forgetting Gibbs. The rest of that team with the Lions, we'll see. Laporta is going to be interesting, but TJ Hockenson never did as much as he was supposed to do there either. I like Laporta. I think he's probably going to be the best tight end. I think I said that out of the rookie class. A little better than Kincaid. I really like Kincaid this year because Buffalo doesn't like Dawson Knox. But Gibbs is going to be fine. All he's got to do is stay healthy. There's a Detroit Lion speedy little running back curse, and it's been going on since Barry Sanders left. And those guys just can't stay healthy. I mean, Amir Abdullah, Swift, the list goes on and on. Any other questions? I know, Terrence, I know you asked a couple questions. You had something in there about Chubb and Tyreek Hill and two other guys. Might have been Bijan and somebody else. If I had the chance of that, I'm probably at like pick 8 or 9, if those are the guys. And I don't think Tyreek Hill is going to last that long. I really like Chubb this year. I think Chubb's going to have one of his best seasons. I think Jerome Ford is going to be the best thing to happen to him. Kareem Hunt was kind of good for him, and then he wasn't. I think Jerome Ford's really going to help him out, stay a little bit more healthy. He's been getting a little bit banged up the past couple seasons. I like Chubb this year. Chubb and Barkley in that spot. I was lucky enough to get Barkley in the ABG league. Those are the two guys I'm really looking at. First two rounds, I want a stud running back and a stud wide receiver. That's what I'm going after. But it all matters. It all matters. If you're pick 1, you got to take what you can get because you ain't picking again until 24 or 28. Yeah, Kupp fell to somebody else, I think, in the ABG league, like pick 9. People are scared of that injury. I'm not sure which one I'm sleeping on because Musgrave is the one that, everybody loves. And the other guy, he was in my 5 guys for your eyes. Now, the one thing I'm going to say, I was talking about tight end. The one thing I'm going to say is I was always anti-Packers tight ends. And the reason was because Aaron Rodgers doesn't throw those tight ends. Well, they don't have Aaron Rodgers anymore. So Jordan Love's going to have to rely on Musgrave. He's the number 1. Not sleeping on Musgrave at all. But he's a late round pick. I'm glad that you're bringing this up. One of the things I want to talk about that I forgot, and I said it last year towards the end of the year because I think, and I said it in the 5 Guys for Your Eyes video a few weeks ago, I think that last year, 2022, will go down in history as the greatest draft for tight ends in the history of the NFL. There was just so many of them. And this year, I mean, yeah, there's Kelsey, right? He's on Pluto. We can't even say he's on another planet. We don't know if Pluto is a planet or isn't a planet. Depends on the day of the week. He's on Pluto. And the rest of them are on Earth. I don't care if it's Andrews. I don't care if it's Hockenson. It doesn't matter. I don't care if it's who's the Kittle, Ingram. I group them all together here on Earth. If you don't get Kelsey, which I'm fine with not getting Kelsey, the drop off is coming. Maybe not this year. Remind me of this because I want to talk about this next. Maybe not this year, but it's coming. The drop off for Kelsey's coming. Don't know if it's this year. Could be next year. It's coming. I don't think it's this year. But if you miss on him, that's fine. I think tight end is more deep than it's ever been. We've talked about for at least 4 seasons now, dating all the way back to when we were an infant, 2 years old. Tight end, you were hoping for 3 or 4 catches, 30-something yards. I think that this year you're going to get a lot more value at tight end. Yeah, Musgrave, the rookie tight ends, Laporta, Kincaid, we like them. They were on Five Guys for Your Eyes. The backup tight end of Green Bay, the rookies, it's fine, but we know the story with rookies. I think that there's so much value with like Pitts. People are forgetting all about Pitts. Ingram, who I mentioned. Kmet got hurt, so that takes one out. But Everett's fine. Irv Smith's fine. People aren't even talking about Dallas Goedert. Like, there's just so many, especially if you're in a 10-team league, even a 12, even a 14. There's 15 tight ends who are good to go this year. If you're picking up a Musgrave or Laporta or one of these rookies, it's got to be your backup. It's got to be. Matt asked, what should the first 5 picks look like in PPR? I mean, you have to go with what you got in front of you. There's no way you can do that. I mean, there's no way anybody could say, oh, you got to go RB, wide receiver, RB. No, you don't. Because let's say in round 5, Pat Mahomes is sitting there. Well, then you're taking him. He's probably not going to last past round 3. But if you're sitting there at the end of round 3 and Mahomes is sitting there and the rest of it, you might just be like, screw it. I'll take Mahomes. I'll take Jalen Hurts. You might take that quarterback the 3rd pick. Depends on where you're picking, who you're drafting with. If it's me, this year so far, it changes per league, but pretty much I play in 2 12-team leagues, 3 14s. But pretty much for me, the first 2 is the only thing that I'm dead set, unless I'm dead set on a stud running back and a stud wide receiver. It doesn't have to be in that order. But if I could get Saquon Barkley and Nick Chubb, I would take those 2. And I would forget about wide receiver, and I'd worry about it later. And I know largely everybody else that plays fantasy football, because this is what they're hearing and this is what they think that is happening, they are making sure they get the wide receivers. And that's fine. That's the way the NFL is going right now. I get it. But if I could lock down Nick Chubb and Saquon Barkley and pretty much be done with running backs, I'm going to get a ton of value. I probably, just to answer your question, sort of would go wide receiver, the next 3 picks, and be fine with that, and then grab a quarterback in my 6th. But it all depends on what comes to you. You have to take, I think somebody said this, I'm not stealing their words. It's pretty much what people say. You got to take the best player available. If Dallas Goedert's sitting there and you don't have a tight end, but you have a quarterback, a running back, and 2 wide receivers, well, you might as well just take Dallas Goedert. So now we just went to RB, wide receiver, QB, tight end. But I'm never going to say, hey, what should the first 5 picks be? Well, you got to go running back, wide receiver, quarterback, tight end. Because no, you don't. Because if your quarterback's not there, then you don't take a quarterback. Hopefully that helps. It probably didn't. If it didn't, I'm sorry. Yeah, Cook's fine. I am buying him, but Damian Harris is going to be a little bit of a thorn in your side. He's not going anywhere. You're going to see a Ramondre, Damian Harris type of thing. Not sure what you were talking about because I get behind the comments, but thank you for my props, Darko. Yeah. Oh, tight ends must be. Yeah. We love Ferguson. And again, they're right there. There's a rookie from last year. I think Isaiah Likely, I think it's going to happen. They're going to end up running him and Andrews at the same time. We like Ferguson and Dallas for sure. There's just so many. I think even with Darren Waller being on the Giants, I do think that they used Bellinger this year quite often and used two tight ends because in the red zone he's a threat. You got Cade Otton. There's just so many. There's so many, and you could still use Taysom Hill if you had to. And now Adam Troutman's in the mix. It's crazy. It's a long one. Guys might leave will take three QBs in the first ride. It's the casuals. It's the thing. And those are the type of things that you have to take advantage of. You got to take advantage of, people that play fantasy football, but they're not really paying attention and they're picking guys based on name. I mean, Odell Beckham's going to go higher than he should in virtually, 50% of home leagues or whatever you want to call them, things you play with your boys, things that leagues where guys, they follow football, but they don't really follow football. But they know who Odell Beckham is because he made one good catch his whole career. Marty, this is an easy question. Said Jamar Chase or Tyreek Hill. I'm taking Chase. I think Chase is going to have a career year. I mean, his career is only 2 seasons long. This will be his third, but I really think, so long as Burrow comes back from this calf or whatever it is, which I think he will, I think Chase is just going to have a ridiculous season this year. So it's like if I had to pick like a team, I'd probably go like I really love Herbert. My backup would be Russell Wilson. I think he's going to have an amazing year, even with Judy being hurt. I just think that Sean Payton going there, and Jamar Chase, and Javonte Williams on that list because I talked about him. So I'm just going to make a team off of guys that you guys are mentioning. But what I was going to do before I realized that I'm old, and even though I grew up with it, I'm of the age I feel like where it's like the best age. And if anybody's older than me, no offense. If anybody's younger than me, no offense. But what I mean by that is like I grew up when things weren't digital. So I know how to do all that stuff. And I grew up with technology, Atari, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, PlayStation 2, all that. Cell phones. I had a cell phone before most people had cell phones. Kids. I bought it at a gas station. I had to buy minutes at the gas station to put on. I had to call people after 9. A lot of people had to do that. So, like, I grew up and I know how to do it. But for some reason, I'm trying to figure out how to put something up on the screen at the same time that my mug is on the screen. And I couldn't freaking figure it out. I got crunched for time. It was 9:01. But I wanted to just like run down this list. I pulled I'm looking at it now. You can't see it because, again, I'm old. I'm 41. I just turned 41 in June, Tim. But like ESPN, they got Eckler as the number 1 running back. See, if I had to make it, I wouldn't. But who would I put at 1? I don't know. I mean, I just talked up Nick Chubb. Think he's going to have a really good year. Saquon. Their top 5 are Eckler, Christian McCaffrey. If McCaffrey stays healthy, I think he is the one. But I'll give you a name, and this guy was a 5 guy for your eye. I really like Jordan Mason this year, and I think they're going to use him often. I think he's going to jump Elijah Mitchell if he hasn't already. And I think they're going to use him quite often. Looked really good last year. He's strong. He's fast. But I think, like, if I had to pick one, I'd say Christian McCaffrey is the top running back. And behind him, I'd probably put Barkley. And then I'd probably go Chubb. I mean, those would like be my top 3. And I'm looking at ESPN. They got McCaffrey at 2, Barkley at 4, and Chubb at 7. So Eckler, they had at 1. I just think it's going to be a drop off. Could he wind up in the top 5? Sure, but I don't know. I don't know. He's going to lose a lot on his plate this year, and I wish nothing bad on him, but I've been saying something for the past few years. We'll just see. Bijan, they got at 3. I mean, I can't. I can't in the first round. I just can't. On such a bad team, like they're bad. I mean, they got Drake London, and I do like Kyle Pitts this year. And after that, the only other thing they have is somebody who's going to be stealing touchdowns from Bijan, and that's Algier. And Desmond Ritter is a running QB. Whether you know it, like it, or not, he can run. He can move. If they get close, he could take it. I mean, just like Trevor Lawrence, they get close, he could take it. Rounded out, Derrick Henry. Tajay Spears has been showing in the preseason. They've been looking for that guy for years, too. Rob and I have talked about that on the show for years. They've been looking for him. They tried to get him. Darrington Evans didn't work out. Hassan Haskins didn't work out. Now they got another guy. It's the same exact role. He looks good. He looks better than the other two have in the past. So they had Henry at 5. 6, they had Pollard. So I didn't really talk about Pollard, but Deuce Vaughn and Malik Davis, like those two guys are going to steal touches from Pollard. They are not going to – I don't think they're going to run Pollard into the ground. I'm also a little nervous. I don't remember who it was that posted their lineup. Sorry, I think it was Tim, maybe. But he had a Dallas stack in there. Maybe it was Terrence. I can't remember. Sorry, guys. And he had Dak, CD, and Pollard. And it's a nice Dallas stack, but Mike McCarthy's just terrible. I mean, he's on the hottest seat that there is. If they stink the first few weeks and he's gone, I think that's going to help. Dak has looked terrible. Yeah, it was you, Terrence. And he's got to turn it around. If he turns it around, it'll be good. I own Pollard in Dynasty League. He was like my number one asset heading into the offseason. And I just am starting to just get a little worried and soured. He's a little banged up. So, like Pollard, I don't think I would have him in my top 10. But then you keep going down the list, and you're like, oh, maybe he has to be in the top 10 because Josh Jacobs will even play. Zamir White is somebody that we talked about in the 5 guys for your eyes. And lo and behold, he might be your week 1 starter. Jonathan Taylor at 9, Joe Mixon. ETN is their number 11. I really like Tank Bigsby. He was on our 5 guys for your eyes before he ever played a preseason game, and all he's done is run people over. If you don't know the name, Tank Bigsby, they need somebody else to take something off ETN's play. ETN showed last year he can't do it on his own. He was at his best when J-Rob was there. J-Rob, sorry, R.I.P., brother. And they were throwing JaMychal Hasty in there and anybody that they could to try and be a complimentary back to ETN. Tank Bigsby is that dude. And then they got Najee Harris. Listen, Jaylen Warren. I mean, we've seen it preseason game after preseason game. Tonight, Najee scored a touchdown. And then Najee's still in the game. Jaylen Warren scores a touchdown. Jaylen Warren scored a big touchdown last week, but Najee was still in the game. He wasn't taken out yet. Najee is not a workhorse. That is my bold call, if you want to call it that. For whatever reason, they don't like him. They like him enough. But Jaylen Warren has it. And then Gibbs at 13. I don't want to go down the whole list, but it's just like, it's such a crapshoot, and that's why, like, I just gave you those lists, and I gave you a reason why I kind of feel a certain way about guys. Will they be fine? Yes. But they're just not guys I'm going after because of these certain reasons. I don't want to put any thoughts in your head, but that's why I'm saying, like, if I can get Chubb and Barkley round 1, round 2, because sometimes it's almost falling that way in mocks that I've done, I'm just taking it. And then I'll grab guys down the list like Antonio Gibson, who's going to be the pass catching back. I'll get him late. AJ Dillon, who everybody's given up on. Jalen Warren, Algier, guys that I mentioned earlier when I was talking about the other guys. I'll grab their backups who I think are going to steal stuff from guys that are in the top 10. Come on. If a backup guy is going to be sharing, and let's face it, running backs, most of them are RBBC, running back by committee now. They're running two guys out there quite often. If there's a guy that's in the top 10 across the entire, I mean, I don't want to say this word because I'm not a part of it, industry or this game, fantasy football, and they're in the top 10, but teams are using 2 or 3 running backs, then why wouldn't their backup that's going to be on the field at least 30% of the time be worthy of drafting as your number 3 or number 4, especially if the guy's injury prone, like Eckler? And that's why Isaiah Spiller could be one of the best late round draft picks, I think, this year. He's just a safety net. And if you're grabbing Eckler in the first round, highly suggest you grab Spiller late. Wide receivers, Justin Jefferson, everybody knows. See, that's the thing. It's like, oh, let me make my top 15 list for you so you have something. I mean, is anybody not going to have Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase as the first 2? I do like Devontae Adams as a little bit of a bounce back. The problem is I don't know who the heck his quarterback's going to be. Is Jimmy Garoppolo or is that dude, the rookie, that's his name, Aiden? He's doing all the funny poses. America loves him already. He's been balling out a little bit in the preseason. Kind of like him to bounce back, but they got him at 5 behind Kupp and Hill. Okay, yeah. I would actually put CeeDee Lamb. He's somebody I'm targeting. I would actually probably put him 4th on my list. I know I'm worried about Dak, but that's where he'd be. Stephon Diggs, I'm worried. I'll tell you right now, I like Gabe Davis to have a nice bounce back this year. Everybody was high on him last year. He stunk. It's what they call post-hype sleeper in fantasy football. And a lot of people passing on Gabe Davis. You can get him way late. Last year, people were taking him in the 2nd round because of his 4 touchdowns in the playoffs 2 years ago. And he just couldn't stay healthy last year. And you got the problems with Diggs. Gabe Davis is focused. He's healthy. I think he's a super value. So that's why I sort of would bump Diggs down my list. Garrett Wilson, yeah. I mean, he's going to be getting the Devonta treatment. Amon-Ra, I love. They're bringing him back. A.J. Brown, Waddle. Then they got Metcalf and Higgins. I probably might even put Higgins above Metcalf. It stinks that JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba is hurt for Seattle because I do think that he is going to become their wide receiver 1, and DK will be there too. But he's got to stay on the field. He's got to get healthy first. They go down the list. Olave, yeah, I like Olave quite a bit with Derek Carr there. I feel like Devonta Smith is a little too high. I get it, but you got to realize the Eagles had a season last year that came out of nowhere for the most part, and replicating that is going to be tough. They're going to use 4 different running backs. Kenneth Gainwell is my favorite one out of them all. I do think that he's going to end up getting more burn. And it might only be 31%, to be honest, because they're going to use Penny. They're going to use Swift, but they're also going to use Gainwell. They might end up using Sermon because he finally is playing well in the preseason. So it's a headache. But with all those running backs, with Goddard, if he could stay healthy, I just think it knocks down Brown just a little, knocks down Smith just a little. They got Debo at 16. I would rather have Brandon Ayuk. I know Rob has always been a Brandon Ayuk dude, but I think this is the year. I think this is the year that he passes Debo as the best on the team. I do. We'll see if that happens. You could write that one down. If you watch it later, write that one down. I think Brandon Ayuk passes Debo this year as the best wide receiver on the team. And you're looking at the list, they got Debo at 16. They got Ayuk at 32. So we're talking 2 rounds later. You could just wait. You could stack somebody else. Then they go Ridley. The love for Ridley is a little crazy. And I'll stop here and I'll get to your question, Tim. I like Ridley, and I like the trajectory of the Jags, but he stunk 2 years ago. He didn't play last year. I want to see it first before I waste a second or third round pick. I won't say waste, but use. After him, you have Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, who does amazing one game and sucks for the next 2. Jerry Jeudy, Christian Watson, DeAndre Hopkins. Chris Godwin, number 24. This is where I'll stop. Deontay Johnson, huge bounce back season. It's coming. He will not score 0 touchdowns again. And George Pickens will help him. And Calvin Austin stretching the field. There's a 5 guy for your eyes. Somebody asked, who's one that we should be drafting? That's the one. Calvin Austin. Stretching the field is going to open up things underneath for Deontay Johnson. He'll probably catch 100 balls this year. All right, let's see what Tim says. A lot of potential this year. I'm excited. There's always potential, yes. I'm not discounting what you're saying, but this is the best time of the year, right? Everybody's team's the best. Everybody's team has a chance. Every player has a chance. Everybody's fantasy team has a chance. There's always a lot of potential. I agree with you 100%, but we got to remember things are going to suck at some point, and we got to be ready for that. I'm excited for what the year could bring. There's quite a few 2 RB backers yet. Who's the best handcuffs? I think I just talked about a ton. 12th picks, taking Barkley and Chubb back-to-back. So there you go. He just said a lot of the mocks he's done, 12 teamers. Pick 12, he's taking Barkley. 13, he's taking Chubb. If you can get those 2, somehow, some way, I honestly think you have 2 of Barkley's a bell cow. Chubb is really close. I do think Jerome Ford's going to be pretty good this year. And I do think Demetric Felton finally gets used. But it's pretty close with those 2. And they're both ridiculous. They're both right in the prime of their career. So if you get those 2, I'm going RB. Easy. So we're at 43 minutes. We had a bunch of questions. I skipped over this. I skipped over all these guys. No. I'll get back to you, Terrence. My bad. Cup Henry, Josh Allen, Keenan Allen, Connor Goddard, Kamara, Dallas Guy. More RB. That's your lineup? So you went Josh Allen in the 3rd round. To Keenan Allen and James Conner. I just can't. I don't know why. The 1 year this was before James Conner had his really good season. I was like, James Conner's going to have a really good year. He had it. The next year, I was like, don't draft him. He stunk. He was hurt again all the time. He went to Arizona. He showed up 2 years ago. Last year, the whole team was just garbage. I just don't want it, especially on that team. I mean, how are they going to move the ball? Although I do like, and he was a 5 guy for your eye, Michael Wilson, the rookie, probably one of the most underrated rookies that nobody knows about. Rookie wide receiver for Arizona. Because it ain't Dortch. Sorry. My thoughts. I kind of just gave them. But I like the rest. No problems at all. I don't know if that's Jameson, Jamal, or Javonte Williams, but all of them are fine. If it's Jameson, throw him in the IR and pick somebody else up. The 80s and 90s, 43, Terrence. Yeah, we're all the sexiest men that there is. Darko said Jonathan Taylor, RB1. If he goes to Miami, sure, could be. Because they're going to be stretching the ball downfield. Now they got to worry about Now they got to worry about dropping safeties for Hill and Waddle or stacking the box to stop Jonathan Taylor. I mean, it's the one thing missing from this team. It really is. Is a running back that can get to the second level. They haven't really had it. I mean, Mostert can bust one, and then he'll bust his leg. And the same with Jeff Wilson and the guys before that. Um, then there were hodgepodging guys in there. Trying to remember their names. The one dude came out of nowhere. He was supposed to be good his rookie year. He was terrible, and then he played and he was good. I don't remember. And he's gone now. Nobody even cares. But if they get him, they finally have a really good running back. A-Chain could have been that dude. Excuse me. He's got to separate his shoulder or something at this point. So hopefully he gets back, and it's A-Chain and JT. And that's why, folks, a lot of people are drafting this weekend. And if it's not this weekend, maybe next weekend. Yes. I think by Tuesday, Jonathan Taylor will be traded if he's being traded. And if he goes to Miami on Tuesday and you wasted a relatively high pick on Mostert or Jeff Wilson, you're going to be upset. So I would avoid them personally. But what's the number one rule of answers by guess? Go with your gut. Brandon says, what would you do with Jonathan Taylor? I just said it. I just saw your question, but I just said it. The problem is, as I was talking about before, not sure if you were with us, but thank you for being with us. I mean, he's the number 9 ranked running back still. These rankings came out yesterday. But the reason I don't really mess with rankings is, preseason ones is because, it's so redundant. It's so redundant. You can go to ESPN, look their rankings. You go to Yahoo, you go to Fantasy Pros, you go to Walter Football, you go to the Fantasy Footballers. No matter where you go, they're all relatively the same. Always. And they're sort of that way week to week. And that's why a lot of you come here is because, not right all the time, right a bunch of times. And usually the guy that somebody else thinks is going to have a good week, we give some other type of information and it kind of works out. So you're here and we thank you for that. But I don't do the rankings because they're so redundant. But if people are across the board ranking Jonathan Taylor still at 9 without a team, essentially, I think he's worth a late second round pick. Again, if you can draft this weekend and Jonathan Taylor falls to the 3rd round somehow, I'd pick him up because I think he's going to go to Miami and I think he's going to kill it there because they're not going to be able to stop him. They're going to be too worried about Hill and Waddle beating him over the top. So, sort of to go along with Darko said before, JT RB1 could be. He just has to go to the right team. And I think Miami's that team. They have the 6th most salary cap space. It's just a perfect fit. And one more time, I think they get Trey Lance as well. In case something happens to Tua, you can sort of just sit right in with that. Tim says, glad I found the page. Hopefully it's here to stay for many seasons to come. I'm glad you found it too, Tim. I'm glad that we can help. Listen, as long as we can do this, we'll do this. There's dreams and aspirations, but we are 2 guys in the basement. And for the most part, we do this for fun. And we're just trying to help people. People who, there's been people over the years, I'm not sure when you joined us, Tim, but there was people who 6 years ago stumbled upon us and, we were answering every question and guiding them through things, religiously, week to week. They were catching every single show. They were on there. They were commenting. And we don't even see them anymore. They don't even come back. And I take that as sort of a compliment. Say, hey, you helped me get to where I need to be. I don't need you. And I'm fine with that. We did this to help people look at things, I guess, a different way. And it wasn't on purpose. It's just the way that I instinctively looked at things. And Rob was just like, hey, we should do it. We're hanging out drinking opening day one day. I'm like, this guy's going to do this. This guy's going to do that. This one, watch this. And it all happened. He's like, dude, we need to do something. You need to help people. I was like, yeah, well, okay. And sometimes I'm wrong. That's part of the game. I mean, we wouldn't be playing this game if we all could get it right all the time. Because where's the fun in that? There's no fun. Yeah, Browns cleared up space. Who wants to go to Cleveland? Who wants to go? Hey, JT, you can go to Cleveland or you can go to Miami. You can be on the beach with the babes. You can go to Cleveland, freeze your butt off outside in the snow. Okay. I think I figured it out. Florida, I think, has better tax laws as well. Yeah, Tim, third year. Nice. Yeah, Darko says they're offering a second and a seventh. I did see I saw a second, and then next year, and then another second the following year. Well, they have space. Brandon says they have no cap space to re-sign him. They have enough space right now to sign him for this season, for at least a year. They got over 13 million. He even came out and said he would take a little bit of a cut to go there. He wants to go there. Bears would be a good fit. Listen, I don't know if you're a Bears fan, if that's a homer comment. If it is, that's fine. You are fine with Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson. And speaking of old Bears running backs, Tariq Cohen wants to come back and play football. He's finally healthy. It'd be interesting to see if he pops up somewhere this year. Tariq Cohen, blast from the past. But the Bears are fine with Roschon and Khalil Herbert. Roschon could even end up beating him out for the job. That's probably like the 1A, 1B of the entire league right there. Those two guys are so close to each other to being the top guys. You don't know Roschon Johnson. There's a name. He was a 5 guy for your eyes. Yeah, we like to chats with you. And get away from reality. God bless you. That's 100%. Excuse me. Chad, you are still here. You've been here for a while. And you're winning. We like that. See, Chad's a Patreon subscriber as well. At least he was in the past. We appreciate that. And he's actually looking to purchase a ABG t-shirt or hoodie. Very flattering. And just been a hectic week. School's starting soon. I'm a school teacher. And my oldest is starting kindergarten. And my middle child is going to be starting pre-K 3. And we got a baby. So as soon as we can get numbers going, I'm going to let you know. But if anybody else wants t-shirts or sweatshirts, I'll make a post. We're not in it to make money. We're in it to make you make money, to be honest. Heartbreak since 86. Bears. Okay. And Leon, co-worker, actually of mine. So very happy that you are hanging out with us and that you enjoy it. And I hope we help, Leon. I honestly hope we help. Appreciate it. 100 degrees, yeah, you don't need that hoodie. All right, so we're almost hitting on 55 minutes. Love the chit chat. Love the questions. In case you weren't here in the beginning, I just want to run through it. Rob and I will be together live. Well, not together, but on here Wednesday before opening day. So whatever that is, the 6th. Yeah, September 6th, Wednesday, will be our first show. We're going to be doing 5 Guys for Your Eyes for the week. We're going to do that every week. So if you caught any of our preseason 5 Guys for Your Eyes, we went by division. And we're basically trying to touch on guys that maybe nobody else is looking at, or maybe they're undervaluing. So it's going to be the same sort of thing as 5 Guys for Your Eyes for this particular week, who we think that if you're in a pickle, nobody's going to be in pickle really week 1. But if you're in a pickle, these are guys to look at. We're going to be doing the ABG 3P again every single week, where we basically, Rob comes up with different props and different player projections, and I tell you if it's going to be more, less, over, under, and that's going to be our format instead of going game by game. So he's going to basically pick guys from the game, and we'll talk about that, and that'll lead us, either on tangents or in a straight line. We're trying to streamline everything so that you're not on watching for 3 hours for us to go through every single game and then get to your questions. So Rob's just going to throw them up. Hopefully you saw the ABG 3P series last year, so that's what we're doing. So Wednesday will be 5 Guys for Your Eyes for the week. We'll talk about the Thursday game, and then we will be back live every Saturday night or Sunday morning. So you got to stay tuned. Glad to have you. Oh, nice. 5th and 3rd. Wow. And your oldest is married. Good Lord, man. You got a kid married and working. You got a 5th grader, a 3rd grader, and a preschooler. You had to go back to that well. I think I got to be done at 3, man. 3 is insane. I got 3 boys. The 5 and the 3-year-old are just psychotic. It's great, but they drive me nuts. And you got a baby listening to it and not able to sleep, and that's not fun. But it is fun because it's life, and that's what it's all about. It's also about fantasy football. So I'm going to sign off. It's going on an hour here. I thank you all for joining us. Please remember, let me get these things up so Rob doesn't get mad at me here. Please remember to like and follow us on Facebook. Please, YouTube. We tried so hard to get YouTube on and popping. TikTok, my goal was to put out more TikTok content. TikTok was what we were going to be going after this year. Then life. Twitter, you can just forget about Twitter. Not for any reason other than we never mess with it for whatever reason. Patreon, if you want to support us, you can get free hoodies and free t-shirts and free coffee mugs, Answers by Guests, and free stickers, depending on what level you go in. Patreon, Answers by Guests, if you want. And what some people are really enjoying right now, which is nice to hear. Rob came up with the idea, putting us on Spotify so you could listen to us. You don't have to bother about watching us. Remember to use the hashtags Answers by Guests, ABGFF. So, wish you all the best of luck. Good luck on the drafts this year. Post stuff in the room. We got a great family, over 300 members. Not everybody participates. It would be wonderful if they did. But if you ask a question, hopefully somebody other than just me and Rob will help you to answer that question. Let's work together. Let's get the championships. This is step 1, and we'll see you in a couple weeks for step 2. We love you. Have a good night.